Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin, joined by my guy, G Sports, via phone call. Had to celebrate that LSU and Arkansas victory. LSU went in there, kept the battle of the boot. Went in there, performed strong, stayed undefeated in SEC play. Most importantly, there's been a lot changing in this conference. I mean, we can react to all kind of things. We can react to Alabama folding over. We can react to Texas folding over. But how do you feel, G, about LSU staying strong, going on the road after a big win, staying focused, and beating the Hogs' ass?
What we talked about after the game against Ole Miss, man, being able to handle success, not getting too comfortable, not getting too complacent, and that's what you've seen from his LSU team on the road in a hostile environment, a sold-out stadium out there in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Man, the defense, bro, we was not saying this last year when Matt House was the DC, and that's no pun intended to him. But what Blake Baker has done with his defense, man, I got to continue to give him his flowers every week. Man, we're weeks. Is this dude not improving his draft stock? Bro, like that interception he had today, the tip, and to be able to catch, have the concentration to be able to catch the interception and put us right there inside the 5 to be able to go score right there. I thought that was a turning point of the game. He led the team in tackles, had a sack. Bro, Will Weeks continues to play at a high level. Ever since that South Carolina game, I thought that was the game where Blake Baker and the coaching staff held him accountable because that was his worst game of the season. Ever since that game, Will Weeks has been playing at an elite level. I know a lot of NFL teams are talking about him. I know a lot of people in that building at LSU is talking highly of him. Will Weeks is the leader of that defense, and this is what we thought we was going to see from Harold Perkins. No pun intended to Harold Perkins, great player, but I think Will Weeks has embraced Harold getting hurt, and he has taken that role of the leader of that defense, and he is just putting that team on his back on that side of the ball, man. Garrett Nussmeier, he didn't have a whole lot of yards tonight. I think he had 234, but the thing about it, he didn't turn the ball over on the road. Caden Durham, over 100 yards rushing, over 4 yards a carry, 3 tutties, ran the ball really effectively. I think that was the key to slowing that Arkansas pass rush down and being able to score 34 points tonight. Man, you'll take it anywhere you get it. You'll take it anywhere you get it. And I think that this gives them even more momentum going into College Station on the road next week. Man, Brian Kelly has to be pleased with the team right now. He has to be pleased with the team. I'm pleased with him. I think next week at A&M is going to be a big test to be able to show Tiger Nation if this team has a real opportunity to be in that mix, to be, not only in the 12-team playoff, but try to be in the mix to try to get into a national championship game. I know I might be being a prisoner of the moment right now, Jacob, but that's how I'm feeling right now with the way that defense is playing.
I ain't going to leave you stranded on that island. I ain't going to lie. I'm going to go ahead and swim out and join you because LSU had to flip. They had to start stacking the days, right? I mean, we're going to use that phrase, but LSU had to have a turning point to start to look like a premier team, especially in the SEC. This conference is competitive. You got all kind of teams. Now you're heading into College Station facing the only other SEC team that's left undefeated in conference play. Now you're really playing for all the marbles, so to speak, in terms of being ranked a high SEC team. I mean, with all these teams dropping like flies, playing kind of bad performances, losing, I'm not going to say the SEC's wide open, but I'm going to go ahead and join you with another hot take. I think the SEC's wide open. I think LSU's got a little bit of an underdog, vibe about them. They're playing with the chip on their shoulder, and yeah, Whit Weeks is a baller. He's out here making just about every play he needs to make. Someone made a joke on Twitter saying he's Tyrann Mathieu in a trench coat. I mean, man, he just had some insane moments tonight. And quite frankly, LSU had an opportunity to score from a turnover previously in the game. Didn't get to do it. Got 3 points. That moment when Witt secures that interception, secures that stop, like you said, the turning point. You go ahead, you get 6. Guess what? You don't just get 6. You get a 2-point conversion to your fake slot receiver who's damn near 7'10", Trades Green getting inside. That's another thing I need to talk to you about real quick. I have 100% enjoyed the creativity of his coaching staff. it's kind of hard to turn over two coordinators and just be able to know the entire team, be able to know everybody, your ins and outs, and be able to utilize them in the ways we've seen tonight. Like we just said, Trudez Green moving from tight end to wide receiver. But there's another pitcher that's floating around. I don't really know what to call this blitz formation, but Blake Baker got four backers lined up in pretty much an I formation, sends them out into the backfield, and they honestly get pressure. They get pressure on Green. It looked like Zay kind of ran into Witt. Looked like they kind of had a little bit of a moment there, but the defense looked incredible. They looked like they were mixing in all kind of packages. Everybody saw the field. I think at this point, your coordinators know what they got. They know their main guys. They know their mainstays. I think this is the LSU team that you're going to kind of start to get used to a little bit. I think, these 30-plus point offensive performances, we've been used to those. That has been not few and far in between. That's been kind of the standard with Joe Sloan and this LSU offense. Now the defense, they're getting back into that spot where it looks like, at least in that first half, the ball was almost coming back to the offense every single time. Now, the offense wasn't necessarily, I'm not going to say they weren't capitalizing. Nuss took some shots. He was taking deep field shots. It got me nervous. I mean, that throw to C.J. Daniels on the first drive with the pass interference, I stood up. Got me out of my seat straight up. Another thing I want to notice about the alignment and the personnels and all the pieces that they utilized. We talked about Zay Atkins and that I formation blitz. That's one of those big pieces that has to play, those supplemental, that depth role now that Harold Perkins is out. What do you think LSU's defense is feeling? How are they headed? When previously, if you would have told me preseason, Jacoby and Guillory and Harold Perkins aren't playing the rest of the year. And I don't know if Sage Ryan got back in the second half. I know that he got that little targeting close call. Looked like he could have got banged up a little bit. But my point being, you lost some big pieces, and here we are mid-season getting some of the biggest wins, quite frankly, that we needed. It looks like this team isn't slowing down, and it looks like they took on their new roles, and the coordinators have honestly been able to make everything work, regardless of the troubles, regardless of the struggles. It's making me think, I don't know, I think that this LSU squad might be able to string together a deep postseason push, maybe get a little berth, maybe get the LSU fans excited, but I'm smelling it. What do you think about the creativity, the coordinators? What do you think about that formation blitz? What did you peep it?
Yeah, definitely peeped it, man. I was watching it the whole time. I said, man, Blake is continuing to give different wrinkles and give different looks to these different SEC opponents to make these OCs have the game plan for. And, he might have ran that today, but next week against A&M, he might run something different. He might not never show that, or he might show it one or two times. I think Blake is just one of those DCs that's evolving with the times and understands that you have to keep OCs guessing, especially when you're going against a quarterback like Taylor Green who's inexperienced. I thought the key tonight, man, was being able to stop the run. Arkansas only averaged 2 yards a carry, which made them one-dimensional. And when you got an inexperienced quarterback like Taylor Green, who has to drop back and throw the ball 31 times, that's not something he's comfortable with doing, you had to know that LSU defense was going to have some plays tonight that was going to put them in good position. Now, I can't speak enough about what the D-line is doing, man. The kid Suggs who transferred from Grand Valley State, he's doing a great job. We talked about Amar, bro. We talked about Dominic McKinley, and we talked about Paez, but Swinson and Womack and Savion Jones, bro, these dudes are playing together, and they are on the same page. You could see them out there communicating. Greg Penn, Weeks, the secondary, you could just see that they're on the same page, bro. You could tell that this unit is playing as a unit. And that's why they held Arkansas to 10 points. Listen, for anybody that really watched Arkansas this year, man, that team is very, very talented. That's not. I don't want people to think that this was like a team that LSU just was so much better than.
Right.
I just think that LSU came in with a better plan, and I do think LSU is a better team. But to hold this team to only 10 points when they scored 70 points this year, they've scored over 30 points 3 times this year. Like, you can't take that lightly. And I think, Blake Baker is continuing to make his name hot amongst the college ranks. And I can't wait to see how they fare when they get to College Station next week, man. I mean, they hitting on all cylinders right now, bro. It's looking like they're getting better every week. And that's very encouraging if you're a Tiger fan.
And to your point about Arkansas not being a pushover, I'm going to add to that. They just had a hell of a performance versus Tennessee, who, by the way, I don't know if you SEC fans are watching, just wiped Alabama's nose at home. So I think Arkansas, look, this was one of those ones, if you dial it back to our previews throughout this week, you got the Arkansas fans infiltrating the comments. People are saying this is a tough game. I'm going to come back to this when LSU gets that L, when Arkansas takes them down in Fayetteville. A lot of people were split on this. Matter of fact, the most important people were split on this in Vegas. They had this at, what, minus 130 to plus 114, damn near pick 'em odds. A lot of people got, in my opinion, influenced by this game. Let's wrap it up real quick. I'm going to tell you all my notes. First quarter, obviously, LSU had a big drive to open it up. Defense got creative, like we said. Moving into the second quarter, I thought LSU was controlling the game. It felt like Arkansas was going to get put away, and they scored late in the second, got a little bit of the buzz back, brought it to 13-7. Defensive stop. I do want to make two notes. Two very, very, very important notes that are going to be a part of this injury report. We'll keep monitoring throughout this week. I'm sure Brian Kelly is going to give a nice concealed report after the post game today. But on Monday, we'll probably hear a little more. C.J. Daniels, I know he's been questionable, and I'm glad he played today, right? But he walked off after the first half, after a catch, or during their little 1-minute drill trying to push the ball down the field when they inevitably kneeled. He limped off. It looked a little awkward. It looked a little worrisome, and I put a note down. I'm like, all right, I'm going to pay attention to this because C.J. balled. C.J.'s a big, big piece to this offense. What do you have, 80-plus yards? I mean, he had 6 to 7 catches. Aaron Anderson had a hell of a night as well. LSU went into the half 16-7. That was their third halftime lead of the year. The only other 2 times LSU led at half this season was against Nichols and South Alabama. So you went out and you played pretty much your most important first half of football yet all year. Moving into the third quarter, I feel like it was more the same. The offense kind of slowed down a little bit. I feel like they were chewing the clock. One of my big takeaways also, a lot of penalties. I mean, good Lord, what LSU had 5 first starts in like the first 30 minutes of the game? I don't know if the crowd got into them.
Yeah, the crowd. There definitely was the crowd, and Will Campbell is somebody. I want to say he might be the most penalized offensive lineman for LSU, and so that's something he got to clean up, especially getting ready to go to College Station, where that is a top 5 venue to play at.
Yep. What do you think goes into that? What is it? Pressure? Or is it just a lot of focus on him? What's getting what's getting him into that spot? If you had to take a guess,
I don't think it has anything to do with him as a person or he's not ready for the moment. I just think it's sometimes, man, you get into a situation to where, you can't simulate that at practice. You could try to put a speaker on and play all this loud noise, but it's just different when you get in that venue with all the noise. And then the quarterback plays a big role into that. The OC plays a big role into that. Are you getting the playing in time? Is the quarterback communicating to the offensive line, loud enough and doing his thing, doing the correct things to be able to make sure the offensive lineman is on the same page with you? A lot goes into play. So we could blame this on Will Campbell and the offensive lineman for getting those false stuff, but we just don't know what leads up to that. And so I'm not trying to make excuses for Will Campbell, but I'm just saying we just don't know what leads up to that, and you can't simulate that kind of noise environment. What they seen tonight at Arkansas, and what they're going to see at in College Station at Texas A&M is going to be just as loud, if not louder. One of my notes before we go, man, I gotta give credit to what Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly is trying to do with Trey Green. You see them trying to insert him into that offense. They're putting him in the slot. They're moving him around. They're trying to get him involved. If you look at his stats, I think he had 1 catch for like 8 yards, but I want to say he had like 4 or 5 targets. And if you a DC and you paying attention to LSU's offense, you cannot fall asleep on number 14. 6'7", athletic, can move, has that quick twitch. He could be a playmaker. And you've seen how he could be a playmaker on that 2-point conversion when he high pointed the ball, so let's put it in a good spot. Trey Green is somebody that's going to help this team going forward, especially when you're missing somebody like Kyle Parker and you're missing somebody like Chris Hilton. No, he can't stretch the field like those guys, but he's a big body and he's athletic, and I think he's a key component to what LSU is trying to do going forward, man, to complement C.J. Daniels, Aaron Anderson, Kyle Lace, and Mason Taylor. So kudos to Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly, and I think you're going to see Trey Green have an intricate role into their success going forward if they're trying to be in that 12-team playoff.
Yeah, that creativity is showing off, and the more I see it, the more excited I get because it makes me feel like we're in that confident mindset where we're making some things work. We're not trying to stick to cling to life, so to speak. You're getting creative. You're trying to push some things out there, see what type of combos you can put in and out. Joe Sloan's a real intuitive guy. I mean, just watching the Jaden Daniels saga and watching Jaden develop from year 1 to year 2, watching the way that they used him. Obviously, the quarterback design runs are very easy to put into play. But then, I mean, adding to the mix the fact that you had Malik Neighbors, the most receiving yards, Brian Thomas, the most receiving touchdowns. I mean, something's going on in the mind of these coordinators to be able to make this happen. And obviously, it's translating into this season. The offense is still electric, still rocking, quite frankly. Really one of the only things I wanted to see the offense improve on throughout the last few weeks was that running game. Like you said, 158 yards, I believe it was, for LSU, 130, something like that. But Caden Durham, 100-plus yards, 20-plus attempts, the next best running back. Caleb Jackson, 5 attempts. Caden Durham has run away with the running back 1 role, and rightfully so. He's a dog. There's 2 guys that deserve dog status for LSU, Whit Weeks, Caden Durham. There's a lot more, but right now, those are my MVPs for both sides of the ball. I mean, they have not only showed and over-exceeded the expectations that I had for them, but I think going forward, next season and just LSU's future in general, these are your playmakers. These are your guys. These could be your number 7s, your number 18s. And one more thing. I know we got the Brian Kelly era with it's got to be the best Louisiana player for number 7. We got to swap that. We got to take that off. Somebody had a pretty good argument. They said Patrick Peterson started the 7. He's not from Louisiana. We got to get it back to Whit Weeks, I think. I think next year he's got 7 on lock. Has to.
I think, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But I think, there's going to be a few players at LSU that's going to have something to say about that. So we going to revisit that. But, man, if you're an LSU Tiger fan, you have to be excited about what you're seeing right now. I especially with, like you just talked about, so many young players that's getting involved in the team's success, right? You see all these young players that's contributing, and so that makes you excited about the future. Now, I will say this, and I don't want to make LSU fans feel like I don't believe in this team, and I don't think that this team has an opportunity to play for a national championship. But it's just me just being realistic. This is not the year for LSU fans to be ultra excited for them to hold that trophy up, right? I think this team does have opportunity to play for to get in that 12-team playoff and be in the mix for the Natty. But next year and the year after, I think this team is going to be one of the best, if not the best team in the country, because you're just watching so many of these underclassmen play at a high level and get so much experience. And I don't want to start the chat about Nussmeier coming back next year. We just don't know how that's going to play out. And even if he doesn't come back, you got the number 1 player in the country coming in at quarterback. You know what I mean? And Bryce Underwood. And so, I can't help but think about what's ahead for the future for LSU. But Brian Kelly, you are doing a great job with what you have at your disposal right now. You got a top 3 recruit class coming in for 2025. That 2024 class is really, really good. And so as long as he getting that 12-team playoff and he getting to that top 8, even might get into that top 4, I think Brian Kelly has Tiger fans settle down and everybody will be excited for the next couple of years. But I don't want to spoil what we have in front of us right now because it's really wide open. You see Georgia, what they did today, playing Texas, how they dominated Texas, and then you see Alabama losing to Tennessee. It's really, really wide open. Yep. So you just don't know how this thing gonna play out. and I do think LSU has an opportunity to be in the mix of all that. But I just cannot help myself from thinking about what's ahead for the future with so many of these young guys that's playing and playing at elite level for LSU.
Yep. And one more thing before I wrap this up and hop out of here. One more note I wanted to get to, and I think this one could potentially impact the conversation that we're having here. I don't know if you saw it. It was kind of late game. It looked like it could be anything. Nussmeier was gingerly kind of limping around, kind of walking around. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an ankle. I don't know if it's a foot. I don't know if it's a cramp. I don't know if it's a bad cleat. But it made my heart sink. Commentators even kind of pointed it out, saying LSU fans don't want to see this. I think what I mean, Nussmeier kind of had a couple times he got banged up, but it's like he's had a pretty good season with not getting hit. He's been kept pretty clean. He's had his moments, like I said, but I feel like, this one was kind of surprising to go ahead and see him shaken up a little bit, a little worrisome, if you will.
That's my tough guy. As part of playing in SEC and being a gunslinger and playing backyard football the way Nussmeier does. And so I think he'll get treatment tomorrow and he'll be back 100% by next week, man. I think Nussmeier is one of those quarterbacks to where he's going to have these little knick-knack injuries throughout the course of a game, but you would have to damn near take his leg off of him, and it'd have to be coming off the bone for him to say I'm not playing in this game. He's that kind of kid, and so I never question the toughness and the grit of Garrett Nussmeier, man. And that's the kind of person you want to go to war with. And
Yep.
so, that's just what comes with it. And that offensive line takes pride in keeping it clean, but that's just what comes with it sometimes, man. When he scrambles around, he's trying to extend plays, he's going to get hit, and he's going to have these little knick-knack bruises, but Nussmeier will be fine, man. And I think Brian Kelly understands that's what comes with him.
That's what I needed to hear, especially moving into this week. LSU, Texas A&M, like I said, both teams undefeated in SEC conference play. This is pretty much your SEC 1 and your SEC 2 battling it down in Kyle Field, supposedly the place EA Sports calls the number 1 toughest environment in college football. We'll see about it because I feel like the Tigers know a thing or two about tough environments.
Yep. I'm not too concerned about A&M's offense. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't respect them. They got a Baton Rouge native and Le'Veon Moss, who's playing at a high level at the running back position. Cyrus Allen, who's a boot boy from New Orleans, with the Landry Walker, who is one of the big playmakers. But I just don't think that their offense is going to put up enough points next week. And we'll talk about this on the next show on Friday. But I just think that LSU's defense playing at such an elite level that they'll be able to contain Texas A&M's offense to the point to where they shouldn't score over 21 points.
Yep.
And if you look at how LSU offense is thriving and how they're playing, I just don't see A&M being able to control what they do with all the weapons at their disposal. Now, with that being said, I do respect Texas A&M's defense. They have a really, really good defense, really, really good back end, front seven. The D coordinator does a great job. The head coach is a defensive-minded guy. But we've been in this position before, right? We went to South Carolina. I think South Carolina's defense is better or just as good as Texas A&M's defense. And so this is nothing that Garrett Nussmeier and Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly hasn't seen before on the road. Don't get it twisted. Kyle Field is loud and it's going to be a hostile environment, but I think, this Arkansas and that South Carolina game on the road has prepared them for this moment, man. And I think they know what's at stake. You need to win this game going into that bye week, getting ready for Bama coming to town. So I think they're gonna be ultra focused, and I see them winning that game, man. And we'll touch more on it next week.
Yes, sir. Friday at 3:30 p.m. Y'all make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss that stream. This has been the Verdin Verdict. G, I appreciate your time. Good W. We had to change up the postgame show. Normally it's on the field, all home games. Right after we do our breakdowns. Now we got to do it virtual. On the road, we got to change it up.
Definitely, man. Looking forward to next week.
I'm hoping it's a big W. We'll be on the road. We'll give you a little more information on that one on Monday when we go live at 1 o'clock. Real quick before we hop out, thanks to our sponsor, Happy Dad. Y'all know the deal. Best taste of hard seltzer on the market. On sale in Louisiana. Albertsons, Rouse's, Walmart, wherever you get your groceries. Get it in. Get it while it's good. Like I said, G, appreciate your time, man. Hope you have a good night. Hope everybody has a good night watching. Hit the thumbs up. Go follow G on Twitter at G Sports. And y'all enjoy your night.
Definitely.